You've got the Sage import template, but now you face the real monster, messy payroll legacy data. And no, copying and pasting column by column isn't the solution. That's a full-time job. So what did I do? I threw ChatGPT at it, and it worked, like really worked. If this step has ever made you want to give up on importing entirely, you will rethink it as AI changes everything. Welcome to part 3 of this 10-part Sage Payroll Import series. In this video, I'll show you how I took a chaotic spreadsheet of historical payroll data and transformed it into a Sage-friendly import file, using ChatGPT of course. And if you have not checked out the previous videos, I would encourage you to do so. They are fantastic to get a grasp about importing historical data into Sage Business Cloud Payroll. What's the biggest drawback with importing any data set? The historical data from your previous payroll is never ever in the same format as your shiny new template. This is where the rubber hits the road. You've got to get that historical information into the template. Sure, you can copy it cell by cell. That's actually what I used to do at first. Take a look at the data I've been given. Each employee's salary information is grouped together, and each month's figures are laid out in separate columns. I'll be honest, this layout makes logical sense, but it's a far cry from the template we just created. The template only wants 1 month's data for the entire file. In my case, March 2023 and only March 2023. Each employee gets a dedicated row with all the payroll definitions, earnings, deductions, and contributions spread across multiple columns. So the employee salary figures need to go under the designated column in the spaces they belong. Okay, that's doable. I can start copying the information from the historical spreadsheet into the template, just like I'm doing here. As you can see, this works. Copy-paste beats manual typing. But let's be real, it's still extremely time-consuming. But what if I told you I found a way to beat this process? That's right, I used ChatGPT to bypass all that copying, and surprisingly, I quickly created a file that mirrors the template perfectly. And now I'm going to show you exactly how I did it using ChatGPT. I know you're excited, so am I. Before I get started with converting the historical data, there's something important to note. The information I'm using in this demo is completely fake, strictly for demonstration purposes. Also, when importing employees' information, the only identifier Sage needs is the employee code. That's it. No names or surnames are required. Now here I am in ChatGPT. Take a look at the prompt I've given it. This prompt can be a huge help if you ever need to convert a spreadsheet into your desired layout. I'm also sharing a portion of the spreadsheet with you so you can follow along and see exactly what I'm asking ChatGPT to do in this example. So here's what I tell ChatGPT. I've got a spreadsheet containing employee income and deductions, and the data runs from column A to C and rows 1 to 1818. Next, I give ChatGPT the following instructions. 1. Identify the employee codes in column A and create a column header called code for them. 2. Beneath each employee code, there are rows with categories like salary in column A and their corresponding values for March 2023 in column C. free. Extract these categories as additional column headers. Examples include salary, UIF, etc. 4. Populate the values found in column C under the appropriate headers for each employee. 5. Stop extracting when you reach the word total in column A. 6. Output a table where each row represents one employee. The first column is the employee code. The other columns contain the income and deduction categories with their March 2023 values. Finally, provide the output as a downloadable Excel file. Next, I upload the file into ChatGPT straight from my downloads folder. Let's see what happens when I press the upload arrow. ChatGPT starts processing my request, giving me feedback on what it thinks I'm trying to do, which is spot on so far. Now here's where things get interesting. I got an error message at first, but instead of stopping, ChatGPT continues working to resolve the issue. I mean, how brilliant is that? It doesn't just throw up its hands and quit. It keeps pushing forward. And sure enough, I get a confirmation message that the data has been successfully extracted. Right below that, there's a download link for the completed file. I go ahead and save the file to complete the download. Upon opening the file, you'll see I've placed the original historical data on the left and the ChatGPT extracted file on the right. Now, when you look at the extracted file, each employee code represents a unique employee. All the payroll information such as salary, UIF, and other categories is displayed across the row in separate columns next to their code. This format is exactly what's required for importing data into Sage. And I have to admit, I'm pretty blown away by how it looks and what I've achieved with ChatGPT. I mean, the data is perfectly formatted and ready to transfer to the import template. It's a simple and fast process. Honestly, I don't even want to think about how long it would have taken me to get the data into this format manually. But okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Is the data extraction really accurate? Let's test it. First, I want to keep the headers visible while I work, so I'll freeze the panes under the data menu. Now to check for accuracy, I'll use the sum formula to total each field in the extracted data and compare it to the totals from the original data. I'm starting with the salary column. So here's the total from ChatGPT's data: 343,651.70. Now let me scroll down to the bottom of the original data. And there it is, 343,651.67. This is insane. A great sign that the data matches. I'm going to mark the total in red bold font as a reminder that it's been checked and verified. I also highlight both cells in yellow because I want to check and compare the totals for all the other fields. If all the fields totals match the original data, it will be proof that ChatGPT has done the extraction correctly and that the data is ready to be used for the template. I'm copying the sum formula from the salary column to all the other columns in the ChatGPT file. I'm doing this to double check that the amounts extracted by ChatGPT are correct by summing the totals and comparing them to the original data I'll have the surety I need that the ChatGPT data is 100% accurate and reliable. Okay, now let me just move the spreadsheet up a bit. There we go. The next total I'm comparing is the total earnings. The amount comes to 369,190. And let's check the original data. It agrees perfectly. Now I'm going to mark the original data in yellow and the ChatGPT processed amount in red to show that this field has been checked and verified. Now moving on to the Unemployment Insurance Fund, or UIF. The total amount is 3534 and it agrees with the original data on screen. Perfect match. Since you've already seen how I mark these amounts, I'll quickly highlight the original cell in yellow and the GPT data in red font. Let's keep applying this process. Alright, now onto Provident Fund deductions. The total is 11,560.78, and would you look at that? It lines up perfectly with the original data. That's another field verified and out of the way. Let's check total deductions. This will be a good test. If it agrees, I'll speed things up, do a time lapse, and call out each field name as I go. I mean, who wants to watch me do this for the next hour? Exactly. Here's the plan. If something goes wrong, don't worry. I'll stop, hopefully not panic, and we'll see what happened. But so far, things have gone swimmingly. So I'm not expecting any panic stations just yet. And there it is. Total deductions of 66,139 is another perfect match. Just what I want to see. Let's wrap these checks up quickly. Total net. Provident Fund under the company contributions. Leave provision. OID provision. SDL provision. There's another Provident Fund insurance entry. You'll see later on exactly where this fits in. The total company contributions verified. The total employee costs to company agrees. Next up are a few acronyms, and honestly, I have no idea what they stand for. They are not fields in my import file, but all I care about is whether GPT extracted the data accurately. And sure enough, it's a perfect match. Next up are a few fields I at least recognize, but they aren't used in the import file. We've got taxable earnings, tax deductions, and tax net and earn. 11. Who knows what those last two fields even mean? If you have the answer, drop it in the comments, please. But most importantly, all of these fields match perfectly. Let's move the data up and check the fields we haven't looked at yet. There it is. Pay as you earn, a very important field that will be included in the import. And it agrees perfectly. Next, we've got a couple of deductions to check. Pension, advances, and then pension contributions by the company. There's also a pension insurance deduction. Again, I've got another couple of fields that won't be used in the import file. I'm going to blitz compare them.
Late at night, the world is sleepy. I'm sitting thinking, dreaming.
Discovery Medical Aid, company contributions. Related gap cover and the employees' medical aid deductions are all good. It matches. Commission, done. There's another vitality gap cover. Loan deductions are good too. Disability under earnings, checked. Leave paid out, another match. Next up, rent deductions. Also, the company's UIF contribution agrees. It looks like the last employee payroll definition is the Discovery Medical Aid. As I scroll through the ChatGPT file, I can see all the files are marked in red and yellow. More importantly, every field from the original payroll export has been marked, meaning the ChatGPT file has accurately extracted all the data.
I'm sitting thinking, dreaming. Where has it all gone disappearing?
You'll sometimes find that the historical data spreadsheets don't contain all the information you need. For example, in my case, after scrutinizing the data file, I found deductions made by the company for loans granted to employees. These loan deduction fields are shown on my screen, but there are no loan balances listed. It would of course be helpful to import loan balances so that deductions can be recorded against them. This way the system can maintain running loan balances and track what's still owed by the employees. Fortunately, upon a request the company this demo is based on provided me with the loan balances brought forward as of the beginning of March 2023. You can see those balances displayed on the screen now. The fastest way for me to handle this issue is by modifying my ChatGPT setup template. First, I'll rename the existing loan column to loan deduction so I know exactly where that data belongs. Then I'll add another column, name it loan balance, and enter the balances for each employee code in their respective rows. Since there are just 3 loan balances, this will be quick and easy. Here's what the data looks like. Employee code 37784, balance of 1,500. Employee code 37922, balance of 500. Employee code 37960, balance of 5687.70. And that's how you can handle missing information by adding it directly to your import template. With everything cleaned up and verified, we're ready for part 4, where we will continue preparing the import file. I'll show you how to copy the data into Sage's import template step by step, or rather column by column, plus how to run quick control checks to make sure your totals match before importing.